The match you are about to see is one of the biggest shocks in Trackmania esport history.
No way. No way!
To set the stage, we are in the upper bracket of the Esports World Cup 2026, the biggest and most important tournament of these players' careers. In this match, we find Massa, World Championship semi-finalist of last year, Solja, Trackmania Grand League winner in 2022, and Carl Jr., the 7-time world champion and greatest of all time in Trackmania, having won everything there is. And then there is this kid called Neon. He's 17 years old. People have seen him on leaderboards before, but this is the first tournament he is playing on a stage. And as you'll soon see, he was playing completely out of his mind. Enjoy.
On to Japan. So, this was Carl Jr.'s first pick yesterday in his first match. It's his first pick today again. And the reason is that this track is very long. It has the most amount of driving time to make a difference. It has a lot of precision, where Carl is very good, and it has NASCAR turns. What that means in Trackmania lingo is that there are turns where the fastest strategy is to release accelerate instead of drift. And Carl is very good at estimating the best racing line for those. So releasing early on, carrying maximum speed through the apex, and hitting the exit as well. But it's Neon in this first round with the best start. This turn, for example, is where we predict Carl Jr. will be very strong. And you can see he was quite far behind Massa, but he's getting a little bit closer over the course of the straight. Then a drift, and then high speed through here. Still though, Neon, the young Polish player that we've seen in the interviews, not be faced by the fact that he's facing multiple-time world champion Carl Jr. and Massa, another top-tier player, seems to just want to drive fast. And right now, he's on tournament record pace here. This is an incredible start to Japan from Neon. Clean driving, full speed to the left, high pace onto the booster. This is crazy. Carl Jr. overtakes finally here as Neon makes a mistake. He pays the price for the risk. Massa challenging for this first place. Massa overtakes but crashes as well. And it's actually Neon back in second place. But think about it. Carl Jr. wins there with a 1:15.88. He was 0.3 behind Neon at one point. Absolutely insane start there from Neon, but he pays the price. Risky lines. Good first jump there from Solja, clean landing. A little bit low speed on the drift. Neon again, just risking so hard. And Carl Jr.'s actually made a mistake here, 0.3 behind. A small one, but that puts him last. And the match situation is again the same. Carl trailing Neon by a couple attempts in the start. Now this turn, look at how Carl Jr. pushes perfectly to the apex. And Solja, who missed it by a little bit, falls behind. But this is monstrous pace to keep up with right now. Carl could very well be first in a different match here. But with Neon on the server, that top pace is being seen. Full send through the drift. What's this checkpoint here going to be? Even faster than last time. It's a 10th faster than this previous round. This is the low 1:15.5 pace driven from Neon. Looks like Carl gets closer, but now Neon pushes, casts in the speed, round that exit, and he's still about 4/10 ahead. Get ready for an insane time from Neon if he closes this one out in style. Through the gate, good speed to the booster. This is tournament record. Neon 1:15.25. What? He's a monster. Like I tell you, I've never seen this happen to my game before. We hear it in chess, where the young players, where the kids are the scariest opponents you can have. Because they have a lot of intuition, they're fearless, and they're insanely good. I'm seeing this happen in real time in my game that I've been playing for about as many years as Neon has been alive. Like, it's getting close. I've played Trackmania for 13 years. Neon is 17 years old. And just the pace he's displaying against favorites is crazy. You love to see it. Carl Jr. now closer to Neon in the start, but he knows as well that if he wants to battle for these 10-pointers on his own map choice, he has to full send. This is not something he was ready to do. Solja struggling, Massa struggling, everyone's crashing, trying to match young Neon's pace here, and he is going for another fast run. Looking at the split. Still a little slower than the previous round, but mid 1:15 being driven, gets past all the apexes, sets up slow, and then a high-speed line to the left around the bend, down to the checkpoint, Through the slalom he touches. It's not the biggest mistake in the world, but it's hard to adapt to in this engine off part. He lost the 10th to Carl. Is he going to do it to him? Oh, not quite, not quite. Thought he might snipe Carl back, but Carl gets the 10-pointer and takes the lead in the match. Now, Carl talked about this yesterday, right? He said, my first 2 rounds, I'm always nervous. And after that, it's fine. So now Carl might have just gotten into the groove of things. Neon had a slow start. Didn't fully get the transition. Let's see the drop down. They counter steer. Oh, Massa with a bump. Grimace also seen on the player cam and a shake of the head. Not going to be competing for points here. And is rapidly falling behind the 2 pace cannons. Neon and Carl. Look at that battle up there. It's so insane to see just the disparity between them and the rest. Neon right now leading, but Carl with a better drift there. Side by side, 100th apart through the checkpoint. And in this narrow part, it's Neon up in front again. Look at them. 100th apart on this checkpoint. Carl getting the better apex through the NASCAR part. Slowing down early. Wide setup. Wants the left now, and that is leaving him a couple of hundreds ahead of Neon, but better booster, okay. Better drift from Neon. Oh, misses the apex and gets stuck, and Massa might actually swoop past him too. Yeah, Massa in second place. Carl gets first, and Massa makes the most of a bad round there. 115.6 from Carl. Personal best on the tournament. So Neon here, the pace is there, but he crashes more. But he's making Carl Jr. risk more. He's challenging the GOAT. You know, like there's this level of respect and fear that players who've competed in Trackmania for many, many years have to Carl. They know going into a match against Carl that he is by far and away the favorite. Neon doesn't have that built-up respect. He doesn't really care. He's just sending it. And it is a treat to watch. Someone really go fully for it. South Korea, Massa's pick, but the player you should be paying attention to on this is Carl, because yesterday he delivered several 112.4s and even some 112.3s in match. Neon as well, drove a 112.40, but Carl here seemed the best at first. Down into the drop, Massa with a mistake. Onto the reactor. Small spectator lag, all good for the players. Neon with by far the best start, 30.83. This is unfathomable pace, guys. Carl is driving a really clean run, but Neon, oh my days. He is schmoovin'. I can't find the words to describe the pace right now, but this is tournament record, again, about to be driven. He goes quite wide here, though, loses a little bit of ground to Carl. If Neon with a good end here, closest the round, this is tournament record. Let's take a look. A 10-pointer is at least on the cards. Gets the first reactor, not the best. Carl catches a 10. Second one, not the best either. Carl getting very close. The last boost, and Neon has it. 112.39. And Carl made up a lot of ground there, but Neon easily could have beaten the tournament record. That was a crazy start. And I was seeing the players, guys, have lunch today. We were all at the same buffet that they have here. And a lot of the players were sitting and talking to one another. And Neon was sitting there with his mom, who's joining him for the trip, and just chilling, just having a little bit of food, and, you know, didn't seem too phased, but he was mostly just, what it seemed like already then, quite focused. Look at this now, another 30.8. This is a checkpoint I look at all the time to judge the start, and we only really see sub 31 every now and then, but here, consistent 30.8 is a different level of precision. Carl is 0.2 behind, again. Down over the engine off. Close inside the line. Carl overtakes Massa for second, but what about Neon? Neon, oh, a bit to the left, has to go slightly diagonal. This cost him a bit of time. Massa overtaking Carl. Massa might overtake Neon too with a good ending. Neon, not the best boost, but enough for a world record, guys. 2 maps in a row here where Neon has displayed tremendous pace. He is unfazed by the situation that he finds himself in. Carl Jr. 46 points, Neon 45. Massa and Soldier 26 and 21. Like, we might be looking back at this match in 5 years from now and thinking we saw the start of something great. Neon here is incredibly fast, and he has a whole career ahead of him. We should not take for granted what we are witnessing. Oh, mistake there. That was Massa again, I believe, flying off the map. And now, Carl, 30.9. Neon also, 30.9. Solja in the mix as well. Through this drift. Oh, he barely. Look how close it is to the apex every time. I hope you understand how difficult that is. Then diagonal as possible to catch the road early. Now out wide. They keep the fourth gear. Then push the corner. Get over the edge. Set up the drift. Inside line. Again, Neon ahead of Carl into the ending. Solja too far to make anything happen. What about Carl? Yesterday, he was the pace king on this map. He looked untouchable. Neon drove a 0.3, drove a 0.2, and this is looking like another 0.3 here from Neon. Carl Jr. is not getting any 10-pointers that easy against Neon. That's 3 in a row. 112.44. And with that, Neon has now taken the lead in the match. Carl Jr. telling himself, come on. And leaning a little bit forward in his chair before we start the last round of South Korea. Upper seed here matters a lot. Gives you tremendously easier opponents. Gives you the first pick, gives you the last ban. And Neon is challenging Carl for it. Last boost here, Massa with a good start finally. Lots of crashes have happened from him. 30.90 from both of them. Close to the 0.8. Neon gets some airtime. This is one of the first mistakes we've seen from him. And tiny things like that can shake your flow. It can kind of break your patterns. Massa on his choice. Oh, almost too wide, but he had to release. Gets passed by both Neon and Carl. Neon going very far into the turn before he starts steering. That is for the exit speed. Carl and Massa losing a little bit through that segment, but Carl, fantastic inside line. 3 players very close for the battle. For the 10-pointer, all of them getting the boost. That is best for Carl. Setting up early, might have gone too far there. Neon overtakes. Last boost towards the finish. Neon or Carl, who's going to be Neon for the quadruple win in a row. 112.3 to settle the deal. He is the king of South Korea right now. Insane performance by the youngster. 112.39, then a 24, then a 44, and then a 38. He looks completely unbothered. And now guys, it's interesting because now he's on his favorite map. He picked this in his other match and drove a tournament record. It was in the first game of yesterday. This match was played a couple other times. His run wasn't beaten. With 4 more rounds here, he could presumably go even faster. Tournament record already by Neon, but from what we've seen, he might set a couple more. Let's see what he does here. Massa with the best start. Jumping over the corner, setting up the drift. That's a mistake by someone. Was that actually Neon? We did see an orange car. Yeah, Neon with the mistake, the first one on this map. Massa also clipped a bit. Carl versus Solja. And this is the thing with Carl Jr. He's always there. Neon has gotten a lot of 10-pointers, but he's not gotten many second and third places. Neon with a lot of mistakes. Carl is always there, even when he doesn't win the round. Solja going too far. Massa might overtake that. And let's see how Carl Jr. closes out. He's going to be very practical here in his approach. Not going to risk too much. He's been in these situations before. Carl Jr. was up at the desk here for a couple minutes yesterday, and he said that he doesn't play for a fast PB. He doesn't play for a good time that he can, feel good about. He just plays for consistency. And right now, consistency is what we're seeing. Massa gained 0.8 of a second to Carl Jr. in those final checkpoints. But who gets the 10-pointer? It's Carl. So now Carl Jr. and Neon are tied at 68 points. Massa at 40, Solja at 31. Round 2. Exit speed from the bobsleigh, similar. Massa ahead. Neon with the better landing. Overtakes first. Jumped into that wall on the right there. That's his previous mistake. Now jumps out to the right, get the entire red boost, and then push inside line, straighten out for the speed slide. This is unbelievably fast, and Carl has actually made an inaccuracy. He is half a second behind. And let's see what Neon can do. 2 tenths ahead of Soldier. All of them in the fight. We have the drone cam coming back for the turnaround checkpoint. Neon going very deep into the checkpoint. That was actually a mistake from Neon. Hits the pillar also and ends up last before they approach the ending Mossa. That is an error he cannot afford, being down so many points to the advancing spots right now. Carl Jr. finds himself in first again. The smallest mistake from the field. Everyone else crashed worse. And will he hold it together in the ending? Up the hill. Soldier with an awkward one. Carl has it good. Neon might overtake. Yeah, Neon over into second place. Mossa face planting again. And it's a lot of mistakes here from Soldier and Mossa. Tilting stuff. Carl wins the round with a 113.2. And now in sole first. Even when he makes mistakes, the mistakes are typically not full respawns. They're small inaccuracies, like he knows he's gonna fail the turn, so he releases and loses 0.3. But that's still competitive. That still has you in the running for the big point. Soldier off the side of the track. And what now in this battle for first? Mossa with good checkpoints. Driving similar pace to what we saw from Neon earlier. Now though, very awkward drift line there. Still makes it through. Neon catches up to Carl. The turnaround. Quick from Mossa. Very quick, in fact. Neon not gaining there. 0.4 behind. Mossa's on a great run, I think. Neon left to battle with Carl for the 6 points. Mossa keeps it clean here. Is Carl getting closer? Hard to determine. Doesn't look like it. Neon failed his ice slide. He will not be fighting for the points. Between Carl and Mossa. Mossa with a smooth jump there. That should all be locked in, and he gets a 112.5. Great run here. Almost tournament record. And Soldier is too far behind. He will not be able to finish here. Just before the finish line, he times out. Mossa needed that 10 points to stay in the running here. 25 points behind Neon. Carl at 84, Neon 78. Soldier with the slower start. Almost a mistake from Neon. Releases early, hits the booster late. That's an awkward line. He adapts. And keeps decent speed here. Better speed than Mossa, better speed than Carl. And he will almost claim both positions in the same jump. Gets Carl on the straightaway. Now the turnaround. This is where Neon has lost a lot of time, actually. Tries to set up on the wall and then ice slide out. That is perfect. A turnaround. He gains a 10th to Carl. And this is the battle we've come to enjoy here. Carl versus Neon. Carl with better speed up the dirt. Similar jump lines, similar landings. 100th or so apart as they set up the ice slide. Neon failed here the exit last time. This exit is better. Carl exited high. Neon with a full inside approach. Lands the downhill. A 10th ahead of Carl. Up to the booster. Neon's looking at a great time too here, by the way. Carl with a mistake landing. Neon's round to win. And the time? New tournament record. 3 in a row here for Neon. Every map so far, he has set a new world record tournament record on. It's unbelievable. Crazy stuff we're seeing. Seriously, crazy stuff. We talked about maybe it will be a map where, like, oh, Neon dominates on Argentina. Carl dominates on South Korea. Carl dominates on Japan. Mossa on South Korea. And on Canada here, we thought it would be Soldier. At this point, like, if you're a betting man, you'd put money on Neon beating this record too. That's the pattern. Let's see what happens. This is Soldier's best map, though, by far. A moment where he can maybe come back. But every one of them have good runs here. Good personal bests, good pace. The first slalom to the wall ride, we won't see many differences, but in this coming drift and uphill, we could. You wanna get very far to the left here, so you can full speed up all the slaloms, and Carl remains in his position. Mossa went flying. Neon now a 10th ahead of Carl, but the splits, guys, the checkpoints are very quick. It's again a full send lap And we are seeing, oh my days, we're seeing 101 pace immediately. No warm-up, just straight into driving 101. This could again be close to tournament record. Soldier on his best map is driving a good run, but it's again Neon and Carl with an unmatchable pace. Neon with a mistake, Carl gonna keep it clean, and this final time will still be great. 1:02.18. Neon ends third, just behind Soldier, and Massa in fourth, able to finish. Yeah, Neon was headed for a 101 there. Carl exactly lands at 100 points, Neon now at 92. Both of them almost double third and fourth place. Crazy dominance shown so far by those two. Into the uphill, you have to get far left. That is the only way to make the consecutive slaloms full speed. Soldiers dropped a bit down. But Neon pushing ahead again. Perfect timing on the slaloms. Instant steering changes with the keyboard. One of the sections where that input device shines the most, as you can immediately change from left to right. A controller, you need to move the stick, and look at this pace from Neon. This is like a 101.7 run. This is unbelievable stuff, guys. I cannot stress it enough how impressive what this kid is doing is. He's gonna do the ice slide around the corner. He's gonna do some ice wiggles. He still has to ice slide. This is the recovery line, but it doesn't matter. It's world record all the same, even with a mistake in the ending. Like, this is generational. Generational stuff from Neon. Carl Jr. PB'd, and he was 0.3 behind. And it's such an interesting dynamic because Carl is more consistent. Like, Carl is leading the match, but you're playing against this upcoming god, it looks like. It's just so insane. Like, this is the most impressive thing we've seen in the tournament. 4 world records in a row from Neon. And he's not done. He's not done. Absolutely crazy. Oh, and there he goes, though. That is the cost of the playstyle. That is a crash straight into the wall in last place, all but guaranteed. Carl Jr. has a moment now where he can maybe increase his lead in the match. But if you think about the first match, we saw nobody be able to match Carl Jr. Neon got to 100 points, same as Carl basically, without being too far behind. Very, very impressive stuff so far. 1:02.03 by Carl. Great run too. Personal best again. Soldier personal best in the tournament. 1:02.2. These are great runs. And what Neon is doing with these 101.7, that kind of stuff, entirely different level of risk. Last round of Canada now. Carl Jr. 116, Neon 105. Great drift up the hill. Look at the precision, guys. Dodging all the obstacles. And cross the no brakes. He has about a car length lead. The others catch up, though he didn't carry all the speed he could. And the pace is a little bit slower than most rounds. Still on pace for low 102s here. Most importantly, the points. Soldier really needs some now, as the gap is approaching 50 points for him to catch up. Almost insurmountable. He's gonna try his best. Neon and Carl are both there. This will be a nail biter to the finish line. Carl Jr., uncharacteristic mistake. Neon versus Soldier. This is Soldier's domain, but also Neon has done great in this tournament. Close! Neon finishes backwards. Soldier takes that round. 200th ahead, and a 10-pointer he much needed. Like, we have a full-on match here, guys. We have a full-on match. Saudi Arabia is map number 5, and we will see if Neon can do the unthinkable. I think most people would say yes. You have 4 more rounds to play here, and why not show up with another public world record? People keep asking how old he is. He's only 17 years old. Carl Jr. has almost played Trackmania for as long as Neon has been alive. That is something crazy to think about. I think Carl started around 2010, 2011. There are players in this field that have played since 2008. Let's see Saudi Arabia here. World record right now, 107.55 from Guan. First proper obstacle is this jump through the window. And they all have it. But who's up front? Well, right now Massa, but not far behind. It's Neon. And sure enough, after the jump, Neon takes the lead for a moment. Massa here, though, driving phenomenally. Holding on. Does he change the jump line? No, still going for the jump. We saw this from him and Granati yesterday. And Massa here actually showing its potential. Gaining a lot, then losing in the drift setup. Carl versus Neon side by side, a wheel length apart. Carl released early, too early. He risked it all. And Neon with the first place, and Carl with the last. Makes no way. No way! What is he doing? It's a 5th world record in a row. The first round of the map without any prior warm-up, bro. Get out. Get out. 5 for 5 world records in a match. There's just no way. That is so insane. This should be a warning sign to everyone else in the competition. This is the guy to look out for. And guess what? There is no hole in his repertoire because he just beat the world record on every map in the match. Like, what? Some people have a strong map. A strong map. Oh, that is my map. Neon just claimed 5. Like, what? Okay, all right, well, let's take stock of the situation. Carl and Neon 122, 121. Now Carl versus Massa on the jump or drift line. About equal into the checkpoint, but you can see here Massa jumping too wide. Carl overtakes. The jump line seems to loose. Carl up ahead. He made a mistake previous round, now gonna try to keep it clean. Might risk his position because he releases late. He wants to save it. Massa has a fraction more speed, but it's not enough. Carl wins the round, up to 132. Neon up at 125. Massa to 83 points, Soldier 71. This will get very interesting. We played till 140, and then we have finalist mode. And if you are in finalist mode, you have to win a round. And if Neon survives the turns in that round, you are not winning that round. Simple as. His pace is unbelievable. The only way you beat him is when he crashes, honestly. Which he has done several times. Carl with an opportunity now to enter finalist mode immediately. With a 10-pointer here. Neon could deny it. Get up to 135 himself, and all but likely enter finalist mode the same time as Carl Jr. Let's see what he can do. Neon would have to overtake here in the battle for first. Drifts earlier, little bit of a shaky downhill. That lets Carl get a small advantage, but more speed for Neon. Does he dodge the bumps? Beautifully done on the rock. Also great drift to follow. He gaps Carl Jr. in that segment, and now even a poor landing would suffice, but he gets a good one, and this is an even faster run by Neon, who's going to do it again. Double world record on the same map, and he jumps up to 135 points. Carl Jr. sets a match personal best. Doesn't matter. Him and Neon are all but basically tied here. 138, 135. Just insane. Just insane, guys. I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked. The most impressive match I've ever seen from a Trackmania prodigy. Just crazy. And it's still not over. Carl versus Neon in this round. It doesn't really matter for either of them. As long as they get first and second place, they are, all things considered, tied. And let's see if Soldier or Massa could do anything about it. Have to be feeling quite defeated right now if you're seeing the times they're driving and the consistency from Carl. It's just really hard to beat. So Carl pushing all here, wants to show what he's capable of too. Down the slope, Massa catching up for a moment, but then the jump line loses in the speed. He gets overtaken again. It's still Neon Carl up first. Will either of them fail the jump? Will they both make it and enter finalist mode at the same time? It's an early release from Neon, who gets the better of that segment, but they both do a great time and are finalists. And now, guys, the map rotation skips back to map number 1 that Carl Jr. picked of Japan. But who has the best pace there? Who has the tournament record? It's Neon. Just take a breather and really take it all in, guys. If this was a regular Trackmania Grand League match, it'd still be impressive. But to do it here at the biggest tournament the game has ever seen, on stage, when it matters, is something else. Here we go. Start already will become important. We know Neon is going to push from the first checkpoint onwards here. Try to build a lead. Carl Jr. can come back from some deficits, but if it starts becoming 0.2, 0.3, it is problematic already. All of them, though, within a 10th. As we go into the NASCAR part. Oh, that's a mistake from Neon. He clips the wall. Carl Jr. now the only finalist fighting for the round win here, but so is Massa. Knows that to stay in the upper bracket, this is the moment to step up. Great turn there. Soldier crashes. 1 versus 1. Massa versus Carl Jr. Carl Jr. could still prove that the older players know better. The more experienced. Carl Jr. has seen so many matches, been in so many finals. He's seen it all. He's seen younger players step up on the stage, and still, he has beaten them all time and time again. And he wants to do the same here. Even though Neon is getting close, Carl Jr. could still prove he is inevitable when it comes to first places in Trackmania. The last couple of drifts here to close out this upper bracket match. Carl Jr. through the gate will win the match against Neon, despite the incredible pace, despite the 6 world records Neon drove. Carl Jr.'s consistency proves better, and he takes seed 1. But Neon gave him a hell of a race for the money here. We have to say it. Absolutely insane. And now, let's see the battle for second place. Neon with a 45-point lead to Massa, and a lot bigger lead to Soldier. Not going to calculate that. Going to look at the race instead. This is the turn where Neon crashed last time. How will he adapt? Better this time. Much wider, but still keeping good speed. 0.2 ahead of his 2 opponents. A lot of speed through the NASCAR Part 2. The others are not really getting much closer. Setting up wide for the low drift around the checkpoint. Gaining speed between the gates. Massa is, to his credit, getting some hundredths back. Caught up a 10th there. Through the drift here, getting closer, but he needs to win the round to deny Neon once, and then he needs to do that 4 more times to even have a chance at the other upper bracket seed. This should be Neon's to rights. Has to earn it though. Slowing down a lot, better speed up the hill than Massa. Waiting for the booster. This is where he crashed a lot. He crashes again here actually, but so does Massa, and now it's again Neon up front, but we can't. No, it's not. Neon has double crashed. It's Soldier up front. Soldier going to be surprised when he sees the finish line here, but he made it through. 1:15.9 there, the time from Soldier. I've talked about this before, but if you fail round 3 finalist attempts, things start to go wrong in your mind. You start to get affected by it. Even players who don't get affected by it much can get affected by that. And for Neon here, this is now 2 finalist mode attempts that he's not won on, and he failed this one too. He made a mistake in that backflip, couldn't quite see it, but he's a second behind. So the likelihood that he wins this is, well, now 0. And now you're forced to sit with that. Now you're forced for the next minute to think, well, the others are going to cross 100 points now. 140, that's not too far. And you also have this thing in your mind where all your recent rounds were crashes. And so I'm not trying to tell you that it's lost here, but the idea starts to creep into your mind that this could go wrong. And that is a scary thought. We'll see how Neon handles this, but this is something that with enough experience, Carl Jr., for example, would be quite unfazed by. Soldier, by the way, with the snipe here in the ending portion. Nicely done. Last finalist chance here on Japan. But even if he can't close it out here, we go to South Korea, where he did 4 incredible runs in a row, 0 crashes. Japan here is a hard map to get through without any crashes, so let's see what happens. The backflip looks good, lands early, more speed than Soldier and Massa. 0.3 ahead. Oh, and Massa with a small mistake, so with Soldier. Yeah, they're getting gapped here. It's half a second. They've only made small mistakes, but Neon gaining like a 10th in every segment. It's 0.8. Next checkpoint, it might be 0.9. Still 0.8. What about this drift? Okay, 0.6, losing a little bit of time. But yeah, driving so fast, guys. 115 mid pace is what we're at. This will be more than enough for Neon to close things out. But he needs to weave through all the pillars successfully. Crashes at this one a lot. Now he made it through. And gonna do the correct number of brake taps to get to the finish. Still one of the absolute most impressive matches we've ever seen in Trackmania esports. This kid is only 17 years old, and he has a bright future ahead, and even perhaps a bright tournament ahead here. 6 world records, 1 game, but Carl Jr. still wins.